Hello, friend, and welcome to episode number 19 of the VIP Collective. In today's episode, we sit with Melissa Baum of Melissa Baum Events. We talk about her journey into wedding planning, as well as how she conveys trust with her clients. We also discuss some of the custom designs she's produced over the years for her clients. Now, today we have a special treat for you because we're actually going to be showcasing some of the visuals from the events we're speaking of. They were shot by one of our past guests, Tara McMullen, at the beautiful Fairmont Royal York Hotel. So enjoy this episode, guys. And as always, you can hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the show. We on.
Woohoo!
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So nice to have you, Melissa Baum.
Yes.
Melissa Baum Events.
That's me.
So for everyone watching and listening, because we get to do both.
Yes.
Why don't you give everyone a little background on what you do?
Sure.
And who you are.
So we plan lots of fabulous events,
Yes,
mainly
you do.
weddings, but everything in the social sphere. So mitzvahs, engagements, birthdays, you name it, anything to celebrate a life occasion, we're happy to be a part of it. And a little backstory. So everyone always asks me how I got started in this. And the truth is I've been obsessed with weddings for a very long time. Back to when I was 12, the Bachelorette, the first one ever, she got married on television and had a $4 million wedding, and I thought all weddings were like that. So I became enamored with them, and I'm like, oh, I want to become more in tune with what goes on here. So obviously I was young at the time, but even before Pinterest and Instagram, I would scour the internet for pictures to plan my own wedding, and I started saving them in folders. So I had a bridesmaid's dress folder, a cake folder, a centerpiece folder,
Wow.
all just for myself at like the age of like 13. And with some hopefully to use these ideas in my wedding one day. And looking back, I actually remember some of the images that were saved, and it's pretty comical. But nonetheless, I then went through the motions of school with an intention to do business, get a business degree out of university. However, in high school, the writing was on the wall a little bit because in a few of my classes we had to do like a final project, and in a couple of them mine were wedding themed, but I didn't really make a correlation. Again, it was just something that I loved. So I'm like, oh, I have lots of pictures saved. This will be easy. And did a final magazine project about weddings, and I actually still have that document.
On the wall.
Yes, it's very cool actually.
Yeah.
And then went to university for business and got a business degree. And in business school, they make you think there's only like 5 careers in the world. And therefore I took the path of accounting, which is obviously a complete 180 from what I do now. But, again, seemed like the obvious path out of school. My family's in it. It just made sense. But the entire time throughout school, I was still saving pictures, and my boyfriend, who's now my husband, is technologically savvy and encouraged me to start a blog about weddings. He's like, you have all these pictures saved, like, why don't we share them on a platform? I'm like, okay. So we registered melissabaum.com.
Which I love.
Yeah, which rhymes.
It has such a nice
and that has
ring.
become a nickname. People call me melbaum.com. Anyways, in January 2011, we registered that domain, and I started to make kind of collages of the pictures I had saved, because there was obviously some theme to them, and started to make blog posts. Yeah. I remember the first one being like all white wedding inspiration, and I just made a collage of like all white things that I had saved. And then another post was fun wedding foods, made a collage of fun wedding foods that I had saved. And out of them, it was always like kind of picture based. That's the part I loved about it. I think the part everyone loves about weddings is just the visual, not the nitty gritty, how to save money on your wedding day. That was never my MO. So I started to make these blog posts, and I would just post them on Facebook and Twitter to, my my peers, and people started to like them, and they would share them on Facebook or make comments, and therefore, on people's news feeds, it would kind of, it went a little viral, should you say.
Yeah.
And people started to ask me to like plan their parties. And again, when we were younger in university, they were smaller. So I did, a going away party, a birthday party. And again, looking back at what I did on those is funny now. I would run around the city like a lunatic, and everything was very DIY. But obviously it solidified my love for parties and planning.
Yeah.
So graduated university, went on to work at like a Big Four accounting firm as my business school path set me up to do, and went through the motions of that. In the accounting world, you do have to work for 36 months before you can get your designation and write a series of exams. So I went through all that, but the entire time on the side, I would plan parties. So from like 9 to 5, I would be at an accounting firm, and then I would dash home and do things evenings and weekends. And again, those were still smaller parties, like birthday parties and things like that, but it would consume my free time. And I lived in a small condo, and I'd be doing like DIY, like arts and crafts almost, to create things for these parties. And then again, traction started to grow, and people kind of started to keep asking me to plan their parties. I was maintaining the blog at the time. Surprise, surprise, I hated accounting with a fiery passion. It was not for me, and I wanted an exit strategy. Mm-hmm. However, I did want to complete my 36 months minimum because I'd already come so far. I'd passed all the exams. I just
why not finish it out?
Just needed to do my time.
Yeah.
But on the side, I was planning parties, and actually one boss kind of caught on to it because obviously during the day I'd be emailing. I was using the company's resources and like printing things, which you're not supposed to do. And she called me out and actually ratted me out to a partner.
Aww,
and the partner
rude.
called me into their office and said I'm in violation of my contract because I'm not supposed to be running a business elsewhere, and I denied it. And at that point, that was in June, and I had until in September I would have done my 36 months. So I'm like, okay, I need to make it 3 months without getting fired.
Yeah.
So I kind of kept a low profile and promised them I would stop, even though I didn't. The day came, 36 months on the dot, and I resigned.
Wow.
And started this business full
So
time.
got your designation.
Yes. And then what was really great is in that time when I was in accounting, I was planning my own wedding, which was like super helpful in learning and seeing things,
And that was the first wedding that you had planned?
No, I had a couple of friends who had taken a chance on me, which was really kind of them. Mm-hmm. And
we all love our friends in the wedding industry.
Exactly.
They're the ones who give us the chance, right?
Exactly. So I had a few people who had hired me. Some weddings had already passed by that September point, and some were coming up. So when I did resign, it wasn't like, okay, what do I do next? I did have like a couple things on the books, but once it went full time, it's crazy how much it, sped up and got busier. So that's my little story, and I went from being an accountant to a full-time wedding planner, and I have no regrets.
But hey, it's all full circle.
Yes.
Business, accounting.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Yes, so for sure.
So you have some knowledge.
Exactly. I think this job does require left brain skills and right brain, and people always say to me, oh, you must be great at the budgeting. I mean, a spreadsheet doesn't scare me. The math we can do, and then the fun stuff, the creative side as well. Nice. So that's kind of my background and how it got started. Yeah.
Well, that's quite the little journey.
Thank you.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you had a couple of friends that let you...
Yes, that let me plan their weddings.
So what was the first couple... Were you trying to, were they giving you a vision, or were they just saying hey, help me organize this?
Again, they trusted me. They had seen some the small parties I had done. I think doing my wedding was super helpful. And again, my blog was always really visual, so people knew I had good taste, and I think I was kind of riding on that. And I've always been organized. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, I still work just as hard as for the clients now, but I really wanted to prove myself. Mm-hmm. So, I tried really, really, really hard, and I think they appreciated that. And those clients are actually some of my lifelong friends now. Yeah. And, their families have been loyal to me. I've done all the siblings in the family, the cousins, you name it. Mm-hmm. So I'm internally grateful to them.
For sure.
And I just kind of figured it out,
Yeah.
Kind of fake it till you make it a little bit. And still learning, and even looking back on those weddings now, it's crazy what you would do differently. But even because I was so obsessed with weddings, I had done research on the vendors and who was who in the city, just because it was pure enjoyment for me.
Right.
And I remember going to the first ever Wedlock show, and I lied that I was engaged, even though I wasn't. Because, like, I felt like you had to be a bride to go there.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I would go up to all the vendor tables and be like, oh, let me see what you do. And they're like, oh, are you engaged? I'm like, yeah, looking to get married in like a year and a half. You know, we're taking our time and just trying to just gather knowledge, just knowledge again.
Right.
It wasn't from a competitive standpoint. It was just,
how does this
let's
work?
see what's out there. Who's the big names? What do they do? Like, and I think I could tell someone's work, and I knew who I was attracted to and who I want to work with.
Yeah.
So
you're working primarily, you do a lot of Jewish weddings.
Yes.
Do you have another market that you dabble in as well? Or you
it doesn't have to be, obviously. And I've done a bunch that aren't. My whole business, though, is primarily word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So that's really why it got started. I grew up in that community, and those are, the people that took a chance on me from the beginning, and those are my referrals.
Yeah.
So that's really why it's come that way. And again, most of my clients, it's starting to, peter off now as we're getting older, but for the first 5 years or whatever, everyone was like my age getting married. So my friends were either friends or friends of friends. Like, there was like 2 degrees of separation between me and most of my clients. Mm-hmm. I either went to, summer camp with them, university with them, high school with them. People that even I didn't even maintain relationships with were like so kind and reached out to me. And like, I was always so touched when people thought of me to plan their parties, even though we didn't keep in touch on a regular basis. So, in any business, of course, having loyal clients is super important. And yes, we do get to know them. We know what makes them tick. We know what's important to them. And it really helps with form a great relationship. And I think any planner relationship is about trust. And of course, that's already been established. I've gained their trust over doing 1 or 2 of the first events. Mm-hmm. So we've got that out of the way, and we can just focus on the fun stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
If you have a new client, how do you convey trust, do you think, with someone?
That's always hard.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, also because we're like a service business. So I can show you all my past work and I can talk myself up, but until you really experience our services, you don't really appreciate what we do for you almost until it's over.
Yeah.
So it's hard to sell that sometimes, but I think kind of reminding myself of why I did this in the first place, and, thankfully why I'm busy and why people keep coming back, and just going with that. So again, they trust me because they've seen what I do, and sticking to my guns and really saying, you know what, this is what you should do, and giving solid advice and really being there for them, I think kind of establishes trust. Because anytime I've ever, recommended someone or really felt strongly about something, my intuition has mostly been right. So I think really just, sometimes clients can make you second guess yourself, and they think sometimes they know better, but at the end of the day, you're the professional. So I think if you stick to it and really show confidence in that decision, they're ultimately going to trust you. And in the end, that you're leading them down the right path.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
How many weddings do you think you've done?
Oh boy, I counted recently. I have a list in my phone.
Since 2011.
So in 2011 I did 1. In 2012 I maybe did 2. So I'd say probably starting 2013 was when I really did multiple. And I actually have a list in my phone of every single wedding I've ever done.
Wow.
And I still add to that list today. So I don't necessarily make a fresh list of all my weddings every year. It's still on one master list. It's just I don't know. It's a
You can tell you're a planner.
For me.
You're definitely a planner.
Yeah. So I keep just adding to that list and making a new heading, 2020 or whatever. So we have done well over 100. I'd have to recount and even enlisted in there all the little parties that we used to do. Because in the first few years, I did a ton of birthday parties, showers, engagements. Of course, as time has gone on, we do less of those just because our calendar's busy with weddings and, what makes sense for the business. But yeah, we've done well over 100, probably nearing the 150 mark soon. So which is crazy, and it's busy.
You've done some stunning weddings.
Thank you.
I've seen some stuff that you've done. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
So what's kind of one of the ones that stood out to you over the last few years when you're you got the green light to do something super creative you've always wanted to do?
Yeah.
What was the one that sticks in your mind?
So I think always weddings at a private home are super special. Just off the bat, there's this warmth about it. Of course, it's in your home. It's not a venue that people attend multiple times, especially if they're avid wedding goers. Automatically you're just in a new setting. So I think, there was one we did a few years ago in a private home that was super special. The bride was very relaxed. She just, she had a few check boxes, but other than that, it was very much carte blanche, and it was really fun to do. And the kicker was we had 7 weeks to do it.
Oh my goodness.
So
because of a short engagement, or that's just when they reached out?
Why not? It was going to be at home. It's not like we had to make sure the venue was available, like YOLO. So we put it together from start to finish in 7 weeks. You would never know from the picture. You would think this wedding took a year to plan, and I've actually done a few of those since. So that was the first time, that was the quickest turnaround I'd ever done. And then, word gets out, and we did also a massive wedding in 3 weeks' time.
So then they just kept testing you. They're like, let's not plan it.
No problem. And, I tell couples all the time, do what's best for you. If you want to be engaged for 18 months, go for it. If you want to be engaged for 3 months, let's do it. Yeah. There's nothing that can't be done.
Right.
And some people just don't want to wait. And, it does drag out a little bit.
Right.
And sometimes it's fun to just kind of ride that high and get it going.
It can always be done. It's just like some of the vendors might start getting booked when you're pushing it to 3 weeks.
Exactly. But
at that point,
again, anything's possible. The city's big. There's always someone. And I think, even reflecting on some stories for today, it's so important to just have good vendor relations. Mm-hmm. And I think I've built those over the years. And I think hopefully one of the reasons, people do come to me, and that I can call someone and likely make something happen. And that's happened before in a few instances, good and bad, when we've been even in emergency situations, and just having that Rolodex of people that, or would be willing to help you out, and they have your back, you have theirs. And again, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you had some friends that helped you with portfolio building.
Yeah.
But how did you start working your way in with vendors to actually build relationships?
Yeah.
Was it networking, wedding shows? What worked for you?
I never did a wedding show. Again, just attended them secretly as a fake bride. But
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, but I think I knew who I wanted to work with, and I think I just kind of called them up and started going to them and referring them. And I think, again, I kind of entered this business in my eyes at the right time. I was 23 when I got engaged and started planning my own wedding, and therefore started planning others. So I was really at the beginning, of this process for kind of my age group. So because I was doing a lot of friends' weddings, I was lucky to have kind of the volume of weddings. So therefore, when I was reaching out to these vendors, I think I didn't appear as kind of like a one-shot deal. I was constantly calling them for dates. So I think I was of interest to certain vendors, and people
more of a long-term thing.
Yeah, and I think people can see that I was busy, and that, this wouldn't be a one-shot deal. And I'm sure even vendors feel that way if a client reaches out to them. They rather see like a familiar name and a planner and someone, they know is going to consistently refer them business. Sure. So I knew who I wanted to work with, from just knowing the city and doing my research and just genuinely just being interested in weddings and like knowing who the who's who was.
Yes.
And then that's who I referred to clients. And I'm like, they do the most beautiful work. They do they're the best. Go for it. Mm-hmm. And I've worked with some people along the way that I haven't loved so much, and kind of dwindled down to like my regulars. Yeah. And there we go.
And it works.
And I kind of just handpicked who I liked and whose taste I felt aligned with mine too.
Right.
Yeah.
And who the couple was going to be happy with. And I think that's the cool thing, is the couple will ask you questions of who they think they should have, and you already have your list.
Oh yeah.
And that's where the trust comes in, where they're like,
for sure,
whatever you say, we're good with.
I think I have actually a knack for pairing people with the right vendors. Yeah. I know people like to do their homework and they like to shop, and I get it. And I try to be very cautious of not taking away the bridal planning experience from someone. Like, again, I can have your vendors all chosen for you in a matter of a half an hour if you just want me to pick them.
Yeah.
But again, if you want to do your homework, I get that too. But usually the first person I recommend is ultimately who they end up going with. And again, they kind of have to take like the windy road to get there, which is fine. Do you?
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I would have paired them with the right person anyways.
Good. Yeah. That's good. It's important.
Yeah.
So are you still like searching and doing research of like
Yeah,
wedding? Because it's obviously just a passion that you've been doing. So are you still scouring? And
Always.
where do you find stuff that you get inspiration
so
from?
usually vendors, like I find Instagram's the best for that. Even someone that I follow will tag someone they're working with or discovered, and then you just kind of follow. I'm really good at Instagram, and not necessarily from a posting perspective, but I can dig deep. Right. So sometimes, again, I just find the most unlikely vendors on Instagram. Funny enough, this last night, as I was working very late, I was Googling something, looking for inspiration for something, and I was in Google Images. So I had no clue what the source of the image was. And I start clicking and digging deeper and deeper and eventually get to the source's website. What do you know? That vendor's in Toronto and I've never heard of them. And I'm cool. I reached out to them. I'm I love your stuff. I thought you'd be based out of California, and little do I know you're in Toronto, and let's meet. So that was kind of funny. But again, things like that. Always just looking for the new cool hip thing. What are people tagging? I also love, I just traveled this week, and I never have time to travel, but I underestimate it. I was just taking pictures of things that I was seeing in stores and on the streets, and I'm oh my God, I can do this for a party. And that's the best, because also, again, it's not, inspiration's great in the wedding industry, but you want to be inspired outside of the industry and allowed to be more creative as opposed to feeling you're copying. So that was, I always underestimate how good that could, maybe a little travel is not the end of the world, and getting away, and you'll actually come back a better planner because of it.
It's funny because you can walk into you have a wedding brain, or professional wedding brain, I should say, when you walk into a store and you see something and you're that could work for a wedding, whatever.
Exactly.
It's in film, I might walk by something and see oh, I can see that shot happening. So it's just the professional brain and how it operates.
And it's always on.
And it's always on,
never turns
for
off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to LA.
LA?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I've never been to LA.
Love it there.
Is it hot?
Yes, I can easily move to LA.
Really?
Oh, I would just love to live there. The lifestyle's so, it's they have the best 3 seasons. The weather's perfect. It's just so glamorous. I love it
LA's
there.
your jam.
It's so my jam.
Wow.
Yeah, I could totally see myself.
So was it
there.
your first trip there?
Oh, no. I've been many times. But I'm actually planning a wedding there.
Oh, cool.
So about one a year we do a destination. I would love to do more. It just kind of depends what comes across your plate. But weirdly enough, consistently over the last few years, we've done about one a year. This year it's LA. And
where was previous?
We've done Palm Beach, New York.
Have you done over
No,
Europe?
I haven't done overseas yet. Would love to. We did Eastern Canada. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got.
I'm going there in 4 weeks.
Yeah, for a wedding.
Moncton. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How'd they find you?
Planner.
Okay. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
exactly.
we've gone on the plane a few times. So I went downtown. It was a half vacation, half work trip. But we did some planning while we were there. The wedding's coming up in the fall, and then.
Is it hard to do U.S.?
U.S. no.
Okay.
Because there's no language barrier. They work similarly to us. I think a lot of people who work in Europe or even in the islands, there's just a different work mentality there. So that could be I think that's the biggest challenge, is that your expectations and the way they function don't always align. Mm-hmm. But here again, everyone operates the way we do. I find a lot of the time my job is done over email or phone anyways. So it's easy to do that. But we went down for obviously the things that you had to tangibly be there for. So we did a tasting and a site visit and, things of that nature. But otherwise it's been mostly over the phone or email. And that was our second trip down.
Is the wedding going to be indoors, outdoors?
Outdoors.
On a beach?
No. It's at a hotel, but it's not your typical city hotel. This is a little oasis. It's in the heart of the city, but you would never know it. Okay. And they have a gorgeous outdoor lawn, one for the ceremony and one for the reception.
Oh, cool.
And it's a nice departure from Toronto, just to work at a different venue and do something a little new and different. And we see all those California weddings on Pinterest and Instagram and always expect to do them here, but our climate just doesn't allow for it. But now I get to finally do one.
So how do they find you? How does LA find melissabaum.com?
Yes. So again, this kind of goes back to my network. The bride is actually Canadian, and I've known her for a long time. She went to school and moved out to LA, met her fiance, and now she's fully immersed in LA and living there. But asked me to plan the wedding.
Amazing. So you become like, it has to be you doing it.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. Going back to my wedding research, like everyone's been asking me, how do you know who to use in LA? I'm like, the LA people are like the famous wedding people. This was like the easiest. Like there are all these vendors that I've followed on Instagram forever, and now I get to actually work with them. I feel like I'm like starstruck, and they're just average Joes renting chairs, and I think they're the coolest people on the planet. So yeah.
So it's like you have your network of people that you follow, obviously, and that you know, and then, but it doesn't stop there. So you continuously are looking for other things of inspiration, and then when you get to go to LA, you get to pull them in to and create something new, maybe.
Yeah, cool. And things work a little differently there too. Like I'm hoping to learn from it and also maybe bring some of that, like, I don't know, LA flair to Toronto, and maybe that's how I can differentiate my company and seeing, learning tips and tricks and, even just bringing new ideas, like kind of a little bit the way they run their businesses, and even the flow of events will be a little different from what people are used to here. So it's a nice change. Talk to me about your sidekick, Kiera.
Oh,
of course. So we're the dynamic duo. Yes. Also a funny story about her. So it was in end of 2015. 2014, that was the year I got married, and those few weddings, I had found someone to help me with day of. And actually, the first wedding I ever did, I did it alone. I didn't understand that you needed assistance. Oh boy, who never would do that again. Yeah. And I also was so green at all this that I folded all the napkins personally.
Oh, wow.
And put all the menus in. And like now I would never do that. But it's just so funny. Like I didn't know any better. I'm like, who folds the napkins? And I'm like, I guess it's me. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got there super early at 6 a.m. to do it because I was so nervous that it wouldn't get done. Mm-hmm. Anyways, you live and you learn. So that was that first wedding experience. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So then I found someone to work with me, and then she assisted me at all my weddings in 2014 and throughout 2015. And then we were kind of discussing the upcoming year, and she let me know that weddings weren't her passion and this wasn't the route she wanted to go down. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, no problem. But at the time I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have all these weddings booked. Like I can't do this alone. So then my husband was working at a law firm, and someone who works there who is friends with, he's like, will you please meet her friend for coffee? She really wants to like talk to you about weddings. And like I kind of rolled my eyes and I'm like, okay, fine, you're my husband, I'll do you the favor, it means that much to you. And the way I felt about it was like I kind of get emails all the time for people asking to work for me, just out of the woodwork, even though I don't promote that I need help right now. And half the time nothing comes from it, or it's just not the right timing. And I'm like just wasn't making sense. But then when this girl kind of informed me she wasn't interested anymore, and it was all kind of the perfect storm. So I'm like, fine, I'll take the meeting, rolling my eyes. I'm like, I'll amuse this. And then I meet Kiera, and we hit it off right away. And I'm like, this is perfect. Someone else on the way out. I have all these weddings like on the books, and I need help. So she was eager to jump on board. And then her first wedding with me was January 2016. And it's been a fabulous relationship ever since. And thank God I took that meeting. Mm-hmm. And I thank my husband. Everyone always asks how we met, and I thank my husband for it. Yeah. So she's been with me since 2016. And then she was working with me alongside me all of 2016 just on wedding days. And then in 2017, it moved into more of like a weekday role as well, and helping me behind the scenes and administratively. And then in 2018 she started taking on her own events under me. Nice. So together we lead the events under the Melissa Baum Events brand, and you can either work with her or myself as your lead planner and get the service that we're known for. And that's kind of where we are now.
When you met her for your first impression, were you just like, she's on it?
Oh yeah,
like you could tell, because I've met
peppy
her.
Personality. And we've obviously had other girls come work for us, and who still do, on weekends and everything like that. And whenever I interview them, I think I'm always deep down like comparing them to her, because I love someone who gets the job done, isn't shy, will really be a go-getter and energetic, and that's really important to me.
Yep.
And I'm sure you can be a great planner, you know, if you're a little more timid, but for me, like, I need someone who can command a room and isn't scared to get in there. And also, again, most of my weddings are like 250 people plus, and we need bodies to, you know, corral them and keep them organized, and we need the right personalities to go with that. So,
and sometimes there's 28 in a bridal party that needs to be told where to go and what to do.
Our record is 34.
34 including bride and groom?
Nope.
So 36?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
That's our record to date. And we have someone during the day, we have someone just dedicated to stay with all those people, like whether your bridal party is 2 people or 36, because we just want to keep the day running, organized. We go out with a big team,
but that many people need direction, like especially if there's going to be booze in there, because they're there to enjoy themselves and they need to be told what to do.
Oh, totally.
And I know Kiera's got the pipes to tell everyone
exactly
where to go, so that's good.
She's the queen of photo organizing.
Yeah.
I know it's not the most glamorous job, but it's an important one. Someone's got to do it.
It's true, though, because you only have that small window of time.
Exactly.
So it has to be done within that amount of time. So that's good.
Yeah.
So are you going to grow the team some more, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I think as Kiera and I both get busier with, like, you know, she has her umbrella of weddings, I have mine. I think we probably need someone else to even help both of us behind the scenes, because Kiera kind of used to do that for me, and she still does. But I recognize that she's getting busier, and it's not fair to her. So I think I'd love to have someone that can just help both of us.
The more popular you get, more people you need.
And grow the team, which is crazy, because if you told me like 5 years ago I'd be needing staff, I'd be like, you're kidding. I actually remember thinking to myself, I remember in 2014, like 2015, I'm like, okay, I got this. This isn't so hard. Like, I have all these weddings. I can manage them on my own. Like, no problem. Oh, joke's on me. So, you know, I remember thinking back then, like, okay, I'm just going to, like, maintain this system. But it's pretty crazy as your business grows how that stuff just kind of happens organically. And you don't even, like, before your eyes, you're like, oh, my God, I need bodies. And I look at these companies that you admire. I'm like, how do they grow to have all these staff? How do they know what each staff is going to do? Mm-hmm. But I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With volume.
Exactly. Exactly. And just like even the scale of what we're doing. And I wouldn't even say we necessarily do more events now, but just they're more intricate.
Yeah. So keeping on the topic of the scale of your wedding.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about the wedding you did that I saw on Instagram that was super interesting.
Yep.
Was one you had done recently at the Fairmont.
Yep.
You run me through what it is, because I don't want to say things that aren't true.
Sure. So, and this also kind of goes back to our conversation about like legacy clients. This was the third child in this family, a family that's near and dear to my heart, and they're again become lifelong friends now.
Yeah.
But we were tasked with planning her wedding, 400 people. So again, that started with the venue. So we needed a big space, and this client, again, really the flow of the wedding was really important to her. So we loved the Royal York, for, you know, its charm, its beauty, its grandness, but we loved how the wedding would flow too. You know, there was a separate space for our cocktails, our ceremony, our reception, all on one floor, and really made for like a seamless evening from a guest perspective, and also helps from a vendor perspective too, and made things flow beautifully. So this bride is larger than life, and she loves to have a good time, and, you know, wanted a wedding that would wow. So we together, you know, and I actually give a lot of credit to her. She was really easygoing, but she came into our decor meeting, or pretty much any wedding meeting. She had 2 requests. One, there had to be a dance floor that was plexi filled with flowers, and 2, there had to be an infinity room. Wow. You know, not your average request, but those were the 2 requests. So we're like, okay,
dance floor of florals.
Yes, I'm like, you ask, we'll deliver. So together with Giselle at New Design Group, who had actually done also the previous weddings in the family, you know, engineered it's incredible floor, and again, the Royal York is no small venue. This was one big dance floor that, you know, she worked diligently on, and, you know, engineered from scratch this incredible custom dance floor that was filled with flowers. And
what kind of flowers? What color?
Everything was done in blush. Beautiful. So yeah, she sourced, there was different ways to do it, but she sourced these incredible flower sheets that we were able to put in the floor, and she spray painted them all so they were the same shades and the same color.
Oh my goodness.
And again, a lot of work that went into it that you don't appreciate. Again, you walk into this room and see this gorgeous floor and think, okay, there's pink flowers that came like this and they just went under a piece of plexi.
Oh my goodness.
No. And again, we knew that there was going to be at one point, especially during like a hora, like close to 400 people on this surface. Like it had to, stand up to the weight and we couldn't risk anything. So you've never seen plexi this thick in your life that got installed on top of these, wood. The subfloor was engineered out of wood, and then the plexi came on top, and then to cover the wood, pictures were taken of the flowers and vinyled onto the kind of slats in between to make sure that, again, from when you stood back, everything looked seamless. So There was a lot of detail that went into it.
Had you done something like that before?
Oh, no. This was an original. Nope. This was unique. Even like finding pictures of it on like Instagram or whatever, we saw like one picture like from Kim Kardashian posted, like that kind of spiraled like it. Unique. So this wasn't something that was, readily done or available, which was super cool. And again, everyone loves to do something unique and different, and it really was like figuratively and literally the centerpiece of this event. Everyone walked in and was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And it was fantastic. And everyone partied on it, and it looked, good as new after, all those heels had shrunk.
Held its,
totally.
I suppose there would be heels on it as well.
Oh, yeah. And then the best part was, so what happened was the wood gets installed first, then the plexi got drilled on top of it on site. Okay. But what we did to keep the plexi pristine is it came with the backer on it. So really, like Giselle and all of us who had worked on the floor really only got to experience the full beauty of it like minutes before the event, because we kept the backing on it throughout the day as wait staff and all the vendors were trampling on top of it to set up the room. So then, we had a rolling party, and we actually have pictures of it. Giselle and her team and myself and everyone getting on their hands and knees and rolling back the backer to the plexi and revealing the floor.
Wow.
It was really cool to watch, and then standing back, and then again, the bride's maybe third request of the entire wedding was to just get some epic photos of her and her husband on the floor.
Just the two of them. Before the storm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that floor held 400 people.
Oh yeah, it was massive. So. And then, we got those pictures, and then we went on with the party. So
now,
super cool.
Did this wedding also have the confetti cannons on the ceremony?
Yes, it did. So again, it was all about the wow factor.
Yeah.
So I mean, the ceremony, if you've ever seen Weddings at the Royal York, that the room that a lot of ceremonies are held in, the ballroom, is just exquisite on its own. People call it like the Versailles room. But we enhanced it with the most spectacular, like all floral chuppah. The aisle in there is about 120 feet long. So again, it's just so cathedral. We lined it with candles, and to top it all off, when they kissed, rose petal cannons went off and surprised everybody.
Wow.
So I think it actually, if I recall correctly, the bride was surprised too. We didn't tell her. Me and her mom worked on that behind the scenes.
It was?
I think the rose petals were a surprise to the bride.
Oh, she didn't know.
I think, if I remember correctly. I know her mom and I worked on it behind the scenes.
Okay.
And I can't remember if we told her or not, but those went off and made for some of the most gorgeous photos. Yeah. Tara captured it perfectly. And where do you source cannons like that? Is there companies that just There's a company that kind of specializes in, either confetti cannons or dry ice or kind of any of that theatrical stuff. So
there's something so cool about confetti cannons and
never gets old.
Rose petals. It really doesn't.
Yes, it doesn't.
It doesn't. In photos, and everyone feels it, and they're in the midst of it.
Oh yeah. And that was again one of the talking points after the wedding that people still kept asking me about, and they're like, I want to do that at my wedding. And
so do you get so excited when you have like a bride or groom who are just super into creativity and being open to like some of these really elaborate schemes?
It's the best. And if you again, that kind of goes back to the trust thing. If you just like trust us and almost like let us run with the idea, like I can almost guarantee you're going to be floored and love it. And again, I think one of the top requests we get is, can we see a picture? Can we see a picture? And, that's the beauty of custom work. We don't have a picture. But if you trust us and you're going to get something unique and different, which is also something everyone asks for. Everyone wants to be different. Again, especially in the circle I run in, they go to a lot of weddings that I've planned, or they go to just a lot of weddings in general, and they want theirs to stand out from their friends.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's where we love putting our head together and coming up with something custom and being inspired by something we see on a trip or not at another wedding, just through delving Instagram or whatever it may be, and letting us run with it. So this was one of those instances. We didn't know how the floor was going to turn out. We didn't really know how the infinity room was going to turn out.
What was the infinity room? Mirrors?
So instead, it was a little bit, the AGO had just run that exhibit.
Yep.
With the mirrors, and it was obviously kind of riding the high of that. And instead of your classic photo booth, we opted for this instead. And even the idea evolved. So we wanted this infinity room, again, inspired by a picture with Kim Kardashian. She had flowers above her, and then they reflected on the floor and the walls to look like they were all around her. And originally we wanted it to be a selfie room. But as the idea evolved, we came up with a way to have a photographer take pictures of people in there. And it really became their photo booth. It was always the replacement for the photo booth, but now people got a keepsake. And also what was important to the bride was she's like, I want a copy of all these pictures afterwards, because if they were just on people's phones, she would never get all of them. So again, this kind of came organically from a conversation with someone. They're like, oh yeah, we've done pictures in infinity rooms before, and they sent me samples. And I'm like, okay, we gotta add the photographer element to this. And that actually came about closer to the event date, even though the infinity room was going ahead regardless. So then people got some really awesome pictures, including the bride and groom. We took some photos in there before it opened to everybody, and then all the guests got to enjoy it too. So that was just another fun surprise element. While we love our classic photo booths, it was a twist on it.
For sure.
Yeah,
I have not seen that yet.
Exactly.
Very
so
cool.
And then since then people were messaging me to asking if they can rent the booth and stuff for installations corporately and for other weddings. Yeah.
Are you in corporate, or are you? No.
Social's my game.
Yeah.
I would love to do corporate. It just hasn't really come across my plate or anything that excites me yet.
Yeah.
But
well, you're building floors that hold 400 people.
Exactly. So we can figure
floors.
something out. I think corporate wise, I like being creative. That's why I entered this business in the first place. It was never about the unglamorous side for anybody, but it was really about being creative. And accounting was so uncreative, and this just allowed, this was my outlet. So at the core, that's what I still love to do. So if a corporate client came across my desk where I can be creative and it's not just logistical, that would be up my alley. Yeah.
Any other elaborate ones that you can think of? Anything else before I let you go?
Sure.
I love all the stories.
Yes. Okay. So I think an event that I've gotten a lot of attention from and that people love is, now we're delving into the bar mitzvah world. We're slowly doing more and more of them, but we're definitely particular with who we take on, and we're really looking to do some pretty fantastic ones, and that's really our MO when it comes to mitzvahs. And talk about creativity. We're given a theme, and we get to play on that theme and come up with some really cool, fun ideas that would probably be perceived as tacky at a wedding. And weddings are beautiful, but often they do, people don't want to go too out there. Where with these, the sky's the limit. So we recently did a mitzvah where, we got to transform the venue based on the theme. And
what was the theme and venue?
So the venue was the Science.
Yeah.
The theme was the Museum of Ice Cream.
Oh, cool. I saw this.
Yes. And we
Very
got
cool.
to transform the venue, kind of to recreate the museum if you've ever been, and just make that place look like it was doused in strawberry ice cream.
Yeah, it was all pink.
It was all pink and yellow and blue and every ice cream color, but pink was definitely the base, and that was a lot of fun. So if anyone ever wants to kind of have a theme and run with it, please call me. I love a good theme, and we're here for it. And that's down to every element. We had staff in costumes. We even at the entrance, we vinyled the entire thing. We had custom neon signs. We had photo environments for people to take pictures in. It's all about the gram, right? So we played to that at these parties. And again, it just allowed us to do things that were unique. And we have a couple coming up this fall that are going to be, along the same lines of just kind of those over the top themed parties. And we're having a lot of fun with them.
Any Raptors thing happening?
We did a Raptors themed mitzvah, but no, that. Did
any of the Raptors show up?
Oh, I wish. I actually tried.
You're connected. I know it.
I tried to get. We did a signing board, where they signed a jersey, and as a surprise to the client, I tried to get a few Raptors to pre-sign it, and then I would show that. I'd be like, oh, look, if the first few guests have signed the jersey, but unfortunately it was just the height of the season, and I couldn't nail anyone down. I think they were on the road or whatever it may be, but I really did try. So we're always, that's always our train of thought, and we're always thinking that way, and always doing our best to deliver.
Big.
Exactly.
And what's the biggest? Actually get a Rapture to sign something.
And what's the worst? Someone says no?
Yeah.
I'm always willing to ask. No shame.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
So do you have any advice that you would give to, we know trust is a big thing.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a bride, trust your planners, trust who they work with, follow them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What if you're a planner? How would you go about marketing yourself if you're a newbie?
That's a great question.
Would it be obviously social is a big play?
Yeah.
Or would you just suggest working with someone? To get in?
People always ask me how they can get started if we don't have availability. Definitely, even if there's another opportunity in the industry working at a venue or a florist or anything like that. A lot of them will take freelancers or part-time work, and you never know where that can lead.
What do you think is the biggest strength that someone should have as a planner?
I think you have to love what you do. I really, really feel passion is a huge part of it. Again, it's not all flowers and cakes as much as Instagram makes us believe that it is. There's a lot of stress that comes with it too, and a lot of unglamorous parts of it. And honestly, I should have gotten a degree in therapy because I feel that's a role I play a lot of the time. So I think if you love what you do, then hopefully you're willing to take the good, the bad, and the ugly, because otherwise, this job is not easy. And there's a reason event planner is always in the top 10 most stressful jobs. If you ever read those polls from Forbes, it's firefighter and then event planner.
Which are one and the same.
Yeah. Exactly. We're always putting out fires. So if you have to love it, because then the bad could get to you. So I'd say that's my advice. And so if you're looking to start out, again, I thank the people that took a chance on me when I was a newbie in this, and I think that's really the best place to start if you have that network. It's huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good hot tips.
Thank you.
Okay, so last question.
Yep.
And you're free, because I know you're busy.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have you ask a question to our guests.
Right.
Something that you are interested in knowing. Either from industry perspective or from bride perspective.
Right.
What's something that's been hot on your mind that you'd love to ask?
Right. Okay. I actually have something. Okay. So I would say this kind of goes out to my fellow planners, and I've been lucky to again have a network of them who we call each other just for advice, or have you ever been in this situation, what do you do? And it's been so helpful. And one of the things that I would love to do, I don't find the value in your planner is necessarily calling you and saying, oh, are you available June 1st? I find a lot of time we get bogged down in finding out vendor availability. So it's been my dream, even though I know it'll never happen, it's been my dream to have some sort of, I don't know, website or hub where we can kind of take that guesswork out of it and just see who's available and not bog ourselves down. I think we all have more important things to do than to spam all of our frienders and be so you available this day? And then wait for their response. And if you say no, reaching out to somebody else or whatever it may be. So my questions for my planners is, wouldn't you love an opportunity or a platform to kind of see our top favorites? We always go back to our tried and true and see just if they're available, and take the guesswork out of emailing them and be so are you available June 1st? And then then what?
Wow.
So that's like my dream.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, thank you.
It is.
But I don't think it's ever like realistic. But, you know, I'd love to see, oh, you know what, Corinne, she's booked June 1st. I'm not just going to clog her inbox asking her if she's free. I can like skip that step. Or like, oh, she's free. You know, I can immediately tell my clients there's an amazing videographer available.
Like a vendor calendar system.
Yes, but it's, you know, it's curated. Like,
yeah, of course.
And yeah. That's like, so
my
question to my fellow planners is, wouldn't you find this valuable?
Now it's out in the universe.
Yes.
Yeah. Good things happen when that happens.
Exactly. So let's all get together and talk about it,
okay,
and like make it a thing, because then we can all just like be more efficient in our jobs. And I think we can all agree now, like, time is money, and it's all about like working smarter, not harder. Absolutely. So I think that would be one way to work smarter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, smart lady, thank you for coming and sitting with me. It's a pleasure having you.
This was so fun.
And come back anytime.
Please.
You are more than welcome at any point.
Okay.
Come back and visit and we'll talk more.
Okay.
So until then, well, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, girl.
Thank you. We get to keep the mug?
No. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to give us one of these. And you can also hit subscribe so you don't miss next Wednesday's episode. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on the VIP Collective.